All right, so we're moving on with the next part of our slideshow for understanding ecosystems, and we're going to be talking about biotic or abiotic. So everything on Earth can be put into two groups, biotic or abiotic. And biotic is something that is living or was once alive. So when we talked about the study of taxonomy, we were talking about the study of living things, the study of, or I'm sorry, biology is the study of living things. So when we see the word bio, most of the time it means something about, somebody, whether something's living or was once living. A biography is about the life of somebody, um, whether they're living currently or if they've passed, the biography is still about somebody's life. So when we're thinking about the word bio in terms of science, we're thinking about something living or alive. Biotic is something living that was or something that was once alive. So that would be like birds, trees, flowers, grass, dead leaves, because they were once alive, and even humans. We are alive. I know that's, a shock, but we are living. Let's go to the next slide. Or not. Let's go. Biotic or abiotic. So an abiotic thing is something that's not living, such as water, sunlight, weather, rocks, computers, soil, oxygen. Really quick, I just want to say you might hear my neighbor's snowblower, so hopefully it doesn't sound too loud in the video. So abiotic is all the things that are not living inside of an ecosystem. In an ecosystem, each organism has its own role to play, right? So each thing, whether it's biotic or abiotic, it kind of affects everything around it. So all of the living things or biotic things and all of the non-living things or abiotic, they depend on each other in order to survive. Um, but when a stranger is put into an ecosystem, it can be a disaster. This new stranger can devastate the balance of the ecosystem and even destroy it. So, when you think of a working ecosystem, like if you think about a forest, you've got trees and grass, and maybe you have some moss, you have some dead leaves on the ground, you've got bears, you've got squirrels. What else would live in a forest? Raccoons. You've got the parts of the trees like the roots, you've got like acorns. Maybe there's some fungus growing on a rotting tree that fell. So there are all these things that make up the ecosystem, right? The amount of light that comes in through the trees, the amount of water that is absorbed into the soil, whether there's a stream there or if it rains a lot. So if you throw in something new to this ecosystem, it's going to kind of disrupt the flow of the ecosystem and it could possibly destroy it. So, natural disasters like hurricanes, volcanoes, tsunamis, and floods have destroyed many ecosystems over the years. But humans are the most destructive and have damaged the earth considerably. So, you have to think if there was a pre existing forest and we come in and we decide we want to build a little cottage in that forest. Now we're cutting down trees and clearing way for our cottage. We're using those trees to build the house. Maybe we're using the trees to build a fire. Maybe we're catching an animal and eating it. Maybe we're picking berries off of a bush and using that to eat. So we're kind of messing up the flow of the ecosystem, right? Like we are something that is not naturally occurring in that forest, and we have now messed with it and potentially destroy it. A population is a group of the same kind of plant or animal all living in the same ecosystem. So, for example, a group of deer makes up a population in the forest, just like a city has a population of people. If an ecosystem changes a lot, the population will have a hard time living there. So think about this. Like think about that forest that we're building our cottage in. if we start hunting animals and we start hunting deer, the population of deer is going to decrease. So if the population of deer decreases, the vegetation and things that they eat is going to increase, right? Because not a lot of things are going to, there's not going to be a lot of deer eating the grass. So the grass might grow higher and longer. Whatever little insects and bugs that live in the grass that normally are, being pushed out of their grass because the deer are eating them, those bugs and insects are probably going to now multiply because there's nothing taking away their home in the grass. So every little change kind of has a ripple effect and affects the ecosystem in a way that you might not think about. So the sun is a key part to every living thing on the planet. Every organism needs to obtain energy in order to live. Plants, for example, get their energy from the sun. Some animals are herbivores and eat plants to get their energy, while other animals are carnivores or meat eaters, and they get their energy from eating other animals. So if you look at the little diagram here, you have the sun, right? And the sun, the rays from the sun help to give the energy to, or help the plants grow. I think I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. So the sunlight helps the plants to grow through a process called photosynthesis, which we'll get to in our next video. So then the plants grow, and then the bugs, like this little ant here, eats the plant, and or the caterpillar, it eats the plant. Well, then the frog eats the caterpillar. So whatever energy came from the sun into the plant now goes into the caterpillar, now goes into the frog, and then the snake eats the frog. So even though the snake is getting his energy from eating the frog, and the frog is getting his energy from eating the caterpillar is getting his energy from eating the leaf got his energy from the sun. So you can kind of see how, the sunshine ultimately affects the snake, even though the snake is not eating or is not getting its energy directly from the sun. It's getting its energy from the sun indirectly, right? It's eating other things. Did you know that the sun is the beginning of all food chains? Well, why? Because all living things get their energy from the sun. It's the start or base of every food chain. So like I said, when we go back to this slide, it starts with the sun, right? The sun creates the sun shines down on the plant. The plant uses a process called photosynthesis to get energy to grow. The caterpillar eats the plant, the frog eats the caterpillar, the snake eats the frog, and so on. Plants use this amazing energy to turn water and carbon dioxide into food. This process is called photosynthesis. But plants also need nutrients. So they get this from the soil when their roots gather up water. The nutrients and minerals in the soil allow the plant to grow and produce things like seeds, leaves, nuts, fruits, and vegetables. Okay, so in our little diagram here, we're going to start with number 1. So the plant draws up the water and minerals through the roots, right? So whatever water and minerals are in the soil, the plant kind of sucks up like a straw. The leaves take in the carbon dioxide from the air, which we are exhaling, and animals are exhaling, and they almost kind of suck that in like a straw, and then they produce oxygen. So they're basically exhaling oxygen. And then the sunlight gives chloroplast energy to make sugar or food. So this is more about our process of photosynthesis. So we're going to get into that into the next video. So it's kind of like a cycle here. Like the water and the minerals come up, carbon dioxide comes in, the oxygen goes out, the sunlight comes in, it makes the sugar or the food, and the plant grows. So since the bottom of our food chains are organisms that eat plants, right? So they start out, when we go back to our food chain here, our caterpillar eats the plant. So the very, very bottom of our food chain here is a plant. The plant grows from the nutrients in the soil and the sunlight, and it's a great mixture, and they grow big and tall. The caterpillar eats the plant, the frog eats the caterpillar, and the snake eats the frog. So again, like I said before, even though the snake is not getting his energy and food directly from the sun, he's still relying on the sun to help with his food, right? Because if there was no sun, the plants wouldn't grow, the caterpillars wouldn't be able to eat the plants, the frog wouldn't be able to eat the caterpillar, and then the snake wouldn't be able to eat the frog. So our sun basically starts all of our food chains. It helps the plants grow, and then everything kind of takes off from there. So I'm going to stop our slide here, our video here, because the next couple of slides are about photosynthesis, and I really think that we need to take some individual time to really highlight the process of photosynthesis in a little bit more detail. So for right now, your quiz that goes along with this video is going to start here with biotic or abiotic. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slides that will go along with this quiz. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm here to help.